Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and as you can see, I'm joined by my illustrious co-hosts for our Forbidden Door review show. Up in my top left, as you can see, it's Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, how are you, sir?
Yeah, happy Monday to you. It doesn't sound like you had a good Monday, but we'll get into that though.
Let's get into that in a minute. And as you can see down at the bottom there, he's on holiday this week, vacation for America listeners, but he's still got time to come and talk some wrestling. It's only
Always.
Forbidden Dave this week. Honestly, I can't keep up with your bloody.
He had more gimmicks than Lacey Evans.
Honestly, mate, yeah, he's been rebranded more times than Lacey Evans. How are you, Dave?
I'll get the winning one in the end. I'll keep trying until I'll get one that sticks and one that works. But yeah, I'm really good, man. Really good. Looking forward to chatting about Forbidden Door. I've only just finished watching it, so yeah.
Yeah, I finished literally like half an hour ago. I've been working crazy today. Let's get into it, lads. What did we, as we always, what did we like? What did we not like? Adam? I'm going to save mine because I've been texting you while I was watching it, and I felt steam was coming out of my phone while I was texting you. So let's deep breath. What did you think about it?
I thought it was all right. I didn't mind it. There was a couple of, we'll get into matches in a minute. I mean, I think the first one, for example, MJF and Tanahashi. See, I can say that one. I would, if I hadn't watched Collision on Saturday and I just watched that match, I would have thought he was shit. But I watched Tanahashi on Saturday against Swerve, and Swerve couldn't get a good match out. Could barely get a good match out of him. So I kind of thought at that point, if Swerve can't, MJF ain't going to get a great match out of him either. So no, I'm not saying a great match. It was passable, but
yeah.
I think the only thing I would say, we might as well just talk about that match now because we've started it. Is I thought the finish made MJF look weak. He didn't really need the diamond ring to beat Tanahashi. Really, Tanahashi's obviously back end of his career now, and it shows. So yeah, overall, I thought it was actually all right, but I know you didn't. But we'll get to that. Dave, what did you think overall before we break stuff down?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it probably because the two best matches for me, Ospreay Omega and the Fatal 4-Way, were tremendous. They were so good. The card was too long, and it suffered. The main event suffered from the length of the card, and I think MJF Tanahashi was just a bad pairing. It did get better as it went on, I thought, and it was, as you say, a passable match. But when you're putting a super show on like this and you've got so many top wrestlers and young wrestlers coming through, you don't need passable matches. You need extraordinary matches. And don't get me wrong, there were a few of them on the card, but there was a few too many misses for me. Same with Kojima Punk. I actually thought it was a decent match, but I think Kojima and Tanahashi are both towards the end of their career, and you can see it. Same with Sting, really. I know they're big names and they sell tickets still and they get crowds in, but I'd rather see some of the younger wrestlers. I mean, your Zack Sabre Juniors and those kind of wrestlers getting more of an opportunity on this stage, because I think ultimately you'll get better matches. But happy with it. Good show. Could have been better, and there's a few bits to pick up, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought it was shit. Will Ospreay saved that. That's probably one of the best matches I've seen all year.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it at all. No. I thought MJF, the match was awful. CM Punk plodded along. If they need to turn him heel, by the way, ASAP, and officially do it, and you can't keep having fucking events in Chicago. I see they announced again today.
Yeah, All Out.
All Out is in Chicago. The week of All Out is in Chicago. Come on, guys. But anyway, I digress. The Will Ospreay Kenny Omega match for me, we'll get into it in a minute. Quite possibly one of the best matches I've seen in the last 10 years. Forbidden Door, I don't get it, and this isn't me being a WWE mark. And everyone knows I watch AEW, but I'm a WWE guy. But for me, no. Chris Jericho needs to retire, in my opinion.
Well, I've actually.
It was like he was running in treacle. He was so bad. It was like watching, when you put your Sky Planner on +2, It was just like watching him do this, and the same with the CM Punk thing when he was doing all this and fucking, oh, come on, man. I just didn't enjoy it. And look, this is a matter of opinion. People don't come at us on Twitter or, YouTube, whenever you watch it. I thought the entire event, apart from Will Ospreay and a little bit of the Daniel Bryan match, but I'm with Dave. I thought it went on too long. The Ospreay, I would pay money to watch that match.
We are. I was going to say we're going to pay money to see him.
We're off to Rev Pro in a couple of weeks, to see him. But MJF, I'm with you, Adam. I thought it made him look. The problem with this is because it's, and Dave, you might need to help me out here because I'm still new-ish to getting back into AEW. This event for me is kind of. I get like what Adam says. It's a super show. I get it, but apart from the Hook. And Jungle Boy heel turn thing, which we're going to get into, it didn't really develop many more storylines within AEW. All right, you got a little bit of Sting and Jericho, but honestly, that was like watching two pensioners fight over the dominoes. It was kind of one of them. It didn't really move much AEW stuff. Right, ads. It didn't really move much AEW stuff on for me, if that makes sense, Dave. I don't know what you think, but for me, I was just kind of like, well, they'll probably bring this up in a year, and when they have Forbidden Door 3, they want to make Forbidden Door better. Take it to Japan.
Yeah, I think there's some justified criticism in there. Absolutely. I can see where you're coming from. I actually made the note of no more Sting usage like this. And I just wrote no more Jericho because...
I don't know what, he just looks like he's past it.
You want to know the good news, Dave?
He told me this earlier.
Have you seen the media scrum?
No, mate. I've just finished watching it.
They started the media scrum with Sting and Darby Allin, and Jericho intervened and basically demanded a Texas Tornado tag team match on Dynamite with him and Sammy versus Darby and Sting. Then proceeded to smash a water bottle with his bat that hit one of the reporters and busted them open. And then Tony Khan said, "Yeah, okay, you got your match. Can you leave now, please?" So we're going to be seeing it all over again.
That's going to be all Texas and no tornado, that match.
Yeah,
it's going to be. Right. Look, guys, I'm not here to completely shit on the whole event. There were certain things I liked. I mean, Adam, he texted me about the Sting match and said, "Wait till you get to that." I thought there was far more worse matches on that card, apart from Jericho looking like he was on +2. I thought the MJF and the CM Punk match for me were awful. CM Punk doing all these fake, like he was like a drunk karate kid at one point.
I think he was taking off Kojima's tag partner there. I think
he didn't take it off, but you have to remember, I said this to Adam when we were having a little chat earlier. A lot of people, and this goes to all of us included, all these fans that were out there going, "Oh, this stuff with New Japan, it's a great crossover." How many of these people are actually going to go and watch New Japan next week? Probably hardly any of them. Yeah. I get why AEW do these shows. It's good. Last year's one was really good, Forbidden Door. Just for me, this year, it didn't hit.
We're going to see what the Impact one's like.
Oh, yeah, soon, isn't it? Yeah.
They got, I can't remember what it's called now. Universal or something? I can't
something remember. Like that, yeah. The multiverse or
multiverse.
Something. Multiverse, yeah. Marvel.
Someone listens.
But, yeah, exactly. But
I think, as I say, the Fatal 4-Way, I thought the women's match was good. I thought the 5-on-5 was good. Ospreay Omega, sensational. I didn't like the Jericho match at all. And I thought the Danielson Okada match was good. It was really good technically, but I just thought the length of the card just affected it so much. And if you'd have just put 6 absolute bangers on, 6 dream matches, that would have been much better than 14 over, the pre-show and the main event, 14 matches just to get everybody on the card. I do understand it to a degree, but you're going to get the criticism and you're going to get a couple of stinkers in there. And there were definitely a couple of stinkers. I agree with you, Andy. I'm not as.
Could they have not put a stipulation in the MJF match that he's never going to lose the AEW World Title in that match? Yeah. Never. Could there be some sort of stipulation? He has to do something if he loses, or make it some. You're going into that match knowing that he's not going to lose, and them announcing All In Chicago tells me he's keeping that title to then, and CM Punk's winning it in Chicago in September.
I'd have rather him just a storyline refused to defend the title and got more heat. I know he's already got a lot of heat. I'm actually sick of this run now, this championship run, because I just don't think it's been booked very well. As you say, he looks like a coward. The AEW World Title's been a bit of an afterthought, and it's really played second or third fiddle to the other matches. I don't know. I'm not too high on MJF as champion anymore, to be honest.
No, we have to remember as well that we would have been longer if Adam Cole didn't get sent home with fever.
Yeah, well, he had 13, a fever or something, didn't he? Yeah, it would have been one more match.
So we would have had him and Tom Lawler.
Do you think they're going to go now? Adam, do you think now they've announced this event in September? September in Chicago.
The week after all that.
So do you think that's MJF keeping the title to then, and it's in Chicago, and he faces Punk, and it's pretty much written on the wall that he's going to?
My concern with them putting All Out the week after is we're going to get another kind of Forbidden Door thing with British talent, and it's not a problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm not slating it. But we're going to get to this week. We're doing the Ask Me Anythings, and there was a question that someone raised on there that pretty much this answer ties into for me, which is I want to see AEW showcase their talent. And don't get me wrong, I've got no problem with Forbidden Door and stuff like that, but I'm paying to see AEW. If I want to go and see Will Ospreay, I'm going to go Rev. I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll have to see Will Ospreay on AEW, but I'm going to Rev Pro to see Will Ospreay. I'm going to Buckle Up. Well, obviously we're putting on Buckle Up, but we're seeing Michael Oku there and Scotty Rourke there, and then potentially the only other one would be British David Boy Smith Jr., which would be another Brit that I'd like to see. But I've got a feeling that R1's now going to be more of a Forbidden Door-ish kind of card because they've got second.
I think that'd be a mistake.
Yeah, the thing about it is because 2 pay-per-views in a week.
It's unheard of.
Yeah.
How are you going to keep the storylines going?
Yeah.
They're going to have to, the go off the air bit at Wembley Stadium is going to have to be something big that's going to want you to tune in. That literally, you'll have Dynamite on the Wednesday. You'll have you won't even.
Yeah.
But isn't the pay-per-view on the Saturday?
It's Sunday.
So you'll have Collision on the Saturday and the pay-per-view on the Sunday. So something at the end, when it goes off the air at Wembley Stadium, it's going to have to be an either, oh my fucking God moment, I'm watching next week, or you're going to be like, oh, that's going to be next week. It's going to be interesting. Talking of interesting, what did we make of the Jungle Boy heel turn that we knew was coming from a mile off?
Well, we knew it was coming. I mean, that was finally he's off the breast. Now, he's onto solids now, and he's onto solids. Well done, Jungle Boy, for growing a set of balls.
I like the way they put Taz in there. Like, he had to leave the commentary desk.
He was going mad, wasn't he? It was good though, because I like that. That was one thing they did do well. I mean, it's needed. He needs a mouthpiece now. That's what he needs. Someone to do the talking for him.
Christian.
Well, I also said that. I said exactly that last night on the Collision review that we done with Josh. That maybe he really realigns with Christian and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. But Dave, what about you? You obviously see it coming, but
yeah, I thought the finish to this match was really flat. I didn't really understand it. He kind of like sandbagged him and just dropped him there for the moonsault. It was a bit man versus boy. And it kind of showed the Jungle Boy's not really ready for this position yet, unfortunately. That's 2 high caliber world title matches back to back. And I wouldn't say it's been a total failure, but he's certainly not ready to take that step. So a heel turn will make his character a little bit more interesting, and we'll see what he can do in that role. A potential match with Hook, obviously. They're going to go that way. That'd be a good match, I'm sure. So, but that's the kind of level I want to see him at the minute. I don't want to see him going for world titles because I just cannot believe there's no believability in him winning the title. So I've got a bit of a problem with that. When you go into a world title match, there should be an element of doubt whether the champion's going to retain. There wasn't here at all, was there? It was obvious Sonata was going to win and keep the belt.
Yeah.
Outside of CM Punk, though, where does the world title go now after this? Because this, like most pay-per-views, they kind of leave you thinking, oh, this is, they've segued here or they've done this. Like you said at the start, Dave, MJF won and he walked off and, he gave the salute to the fans and all this. But I was kind of like, well, he probably won't even be on Dynamite this week. He might be.
He's wrestling on Collision.
So he's on Collision. So I mean, where are they going to go straight into it? CM Punk?
No, I think it's Cole still. I think it's still Adam
Cole.
Yeah, okay. When he's recovered. I mean, presumably it is just a short illness, and he'll be back within a week or 2. And I think they'll pick up where they left off with that. But yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I love MJF. And he's some of the heel stuff he does is absolutely fantastic. I loved in the match when he was getting the 5 count and he shouted at Royce and said, "What are you going to do, dipshit?" You know, it's to say, disqualify me if you want. I don't care. I thought
nearly
that
as
was
good
great.
as the Will Ospreay chant. You're still a wanker.
Yeah.
And they even said it on commentary, didn't they?
Yeah.
But you just how they were presented. You had Okada, Danielson, Omega, and Ospreay, and MJF was like a couple of tiers below that. That was the impression I got, and you shouldn't have that from your world champion.
Could you imagine if Forbidden Door had happened without those two main events?
Yeah,
you better not add me on this show.
It would have been, I will say that I did like the orange. Sorry, and I have to say this because Zack Sabre Jr. says it every time he hits a move on Orange Cassidy. He goes, "Oi, orange bollocks!"
He was shouting at Garcia as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was saying something to Garcia.
Garcia.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. is gold. He needs to come away from Japan and come over to he needs to come somewhere. Because I need to.
Same with Will Ospreay, though. He needs to be in full time in some, like, I'd say AEW.
I think he doesn't like it. Well, yeah, I think the thing with Ospreay, he sees tweets at the weekend.
He's very much his own man, isn't he?
He's outstanding. But you see, in the tweets that he done at the weekend about hating Canada, going on a boat and all that, that was tremendous.
He doesn't want to live in America, does he?
No,
that's part of it.
He's
Same
a
as
homegrown.
Pac.
He wants to go down. He missed Lakeside too much, wasn't he?
No, he's one of Adams. He's one of Adams.
He's one of my boys. And funnily enough, I had a little message about him today on Twitter. I was messaging him about stuff, and I listened to him in the scrum. You couldn't get the more sort of, I can't think of what the word is now. I'm trying to say humble guy. He was the heel all night. And when he basically shit on the Canadian flag and put it up his nose and put it up his
eyes. Very well of Kenny Omega, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, you listen to him at that press conference and you got the difference. You've kind of got the Will Ospreay that you see. I mean, if you see him in autograph signings and things like that, he is such a humble guy. And he was, I mean, he swore a lot in the press conference, but he's from Essex, so he can swear. But he was such a humble guy. But I mean, going back to the fatal four-way with Cassidy, he found a way again, Dave. This guy knows more magic tricks than fucking Paul Daniels, doesn't he?
I really thought this was a great finish. And this fatal four-way is what I'd rather concentrate on rather than some of the negatives on the card, because I thought this was so good. And people talking about debuts into AEW, like Goldberg, and they've talked about Bray Wyatt in the past. Matt, you don't need to do any of that with those stars from before. You've got guys like Zack Sabre Jr., Shibata. It's just so good. These are the guys I'd really strap a rocket to and push it to be the faces of wrestling, to be honest, going forward in the next 10 years. I thought this was so good, so clever, so well put together. All of it made sense. You had the pile driver on Zack Sabre Jr. at the end, Shibata at the PK kick, Orange pushed him out, and as you say, he found a way to keep that title, and I'm glad he did, because this title run has been really, really good. There's been so many good matches, and I'm glad it's going to continue at least for a little while longer.
Yeah, because he needs it. Orange is Orange Bollocks now, and that's his name for me. He's
not Orange Bollocks.
Yeah, he's not Orange Cassidy anymore. He's Orange Bollocks. That's tremendous. Actually, I want to get on to Elite and Kingston, Moxley in an absolute fight again.
Yeah. I love this.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really good.
Blood and Guts has been announced. Can't remember when it is. Sorry, but I can't remember. It might be the week of Buckle Up. I think it was July 19th. I think.
Is it July?
It's definitely sometime in July. Yeah.
So obviously we get onto Danielson in a minute, but he won't be competing in that. Obviously, he'll be way away from not. He'll be fit. He should be the week before All In, if the time frame. And I don't think they'll risk him if they're putting him in a match at All In. They're not going to risk him at Blood and Guts. But that match anyway
was he legitimately injured then?
Yes, Danielson. Yes,
yeah, I thought so, but I haven't.
Broke his forearm.
Oh, okay.
Doing the elbow drop.
The convulsion thing was a bit weird for me. I didn't really like that. I thought
I didn't.
There was no need to put that in a wrestling match. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some weird stuff while watching wrestling. I thought that was far too close to home for me for that. And in the commentators, and then he's convulsing and he flipped and he's like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "That's for me." No, you don't put that kind of stuff in a wrestling match. But the young, but I thought of the match. I'm convinced that Eddie Kingston's joining the Blackpool Combat Club. By the way,
even though he hates you, Claudio.
I think it'll happen. Yeah, I think it'll happen. You can see when he pushed Moxley out of the way, and I think that's where they're going to go with that storyline, with him eventually joining the BCC.
He was kind of was he not there before when they were faces, and he I can't quite remember. He was with them at one point when didn't they do Blood and Guts or something when he was with Claudio and they hugged at the end?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he was with them. When they were face. Yeah.
I thought so. I thought the match was great. I loved it when him and Moxley were just fucking
chopping the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
I wrote down the Eddie and Moxley fight and the Takeshita Ishii exchange as well. At the start, when they both ended up knocking each other off, I thought that was great.
Running off the ropes, that was cool.
Yeah. And the great thing for the finish, I know there's a lot of good moves in the match, and we can't detail them all. There's some that moonsault from Hangman is just a thing of beauty. But Ishii picking up the win, because obviously he had a few matches last year in AEW, and he took the pin every time. So I'm kind of glad that he got an opportunity to hit his brainbuster and pick up the victory, because he's highly rated by fans of New Japan. He's had some great matches in the past with the likes of Keith Lee. So yeah, I like that touch, to be honest, that Ishii was the man to pick up the victory for his team.
My only concern is another pinfall taken by Yuta. He
Yeah.
seems to be the guy that when they lose, he's the one that gets pinned.
Same with Garcia, isn't it? They seem to be the guys that do paying the dues. I don't know if that's like the old school approach to it. But they're so young. They can, losing to Ishii or getting pinned by Orange Cassidy isn't going to hurt them long term, I don't think.
I did find it funny. I found that Kyosuke, the one you're talking about, the Japanese guy, not Ishii, the other one.
The Japanese guy on the New Japan card.
The Japanese guy on the New Japan.
In this match,
All right, Trigger.
The BCC
Shota Umino.
No, the one
Takeshita.
Him. His Twitter thing is I like Takeshita. That's what his Twitter handle is.
Yeah.
You can imagine
the only thing about this match, I might be being a grumpy old man here. I think the super kick is getting so overused in wrestling these days. Maybe because of the whole Usos and the Young Bucks. I don't know what you boys think, but I think it's got to be one of the most overused moves in wrestling now.
Yeah.
I mean, they must walk off with sore thighs the amount of times they slap their thighs together. Honestly, I could probably insert a Katie Price joke there, but I won't. But, I don't know what you boys think. It just seems to
leave Kate alone. I'm sure she's a lovely woman.
Having a rough enough day with her mum telling the story on her. Yeah, but I don't know. I thought the super kick is such an overused move right now. I don't know what you boys think, but yeah.
It is.
It's the Young Bucks go-to, though, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, Young Bucks, Usos, Ospreay, Omega, Ziggler, Rollins.
Cole.
Yeah. We hit it there, but we'll move on. The women's match. They only had one women's match on the card. Well, two, but one on the main card. The Athena match was actually really good. They should have put that up on the main card, but this one was Willow and Toni Storm. I don't think there's any surprises. Toni Storm retaining. I wasn't expecting Willow to pick up any form of victory. Dave, where are they going with this? Are we going to have Jamie Hayter come back and that's going to be all in, or are they going to do something else?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match, I think it was one of the better Toni Storm matches, because I don't think really we've seen too much of her. She's been in a lot of short matches, and this went a little bit longer. And I think it was good. Told a really good story. What I didn't like, to go off on a little bit of a rant, is the fan on his phone in the front row. Did you see that? There's a fan just on his phone like during the match, and that just boils my piss. It's so disrespectful to go to any kind of like a wrestling show or football match or a performance, and the athletes or the performers are doing their thing, and you just sat there staring at your phone. That pissed me off. But yeah, I'll park that for now.
Did you sorry on a fan? Did you see the one at Collision with Julia Hart?
Oh, what was that? Oh yeah, when he was popping up behind her and like just pulling the back. Yeah. So that was all right. That was entertaining.
That was hilarious because Julia even got involved with it. It was so fun.
Yeah,
and she kept a straight face. He was just coming up with a little smile behind her. It was
See that participation in the show, that's absolutely fine. But to be sat there on your fucking phone, That was irritating. But
it's Money in the Bank, mate. All you're going to see is that.
Oh yeah, man, that's going to kill me.
All you're going to
I
see.
don't mind people taking pictures and videoing, but he was just sat there with his head down, paying no attention to what was going on in front of him.
It's like a couple of weeks ago, weren't the guy at AEW watching the NXT event?
Yeah, he was.
I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. It's sometimes as well, it's people in those seats, they're kind of complimentary tickets or corporate tickets, so they haven't paid for them, so they don't really care too much. And there's fans desperate for them tickets, so I just think that's not on. But maybe that's just me. But in terms of the match, I thought it was great. There was a couple of times where I thought but they put Willow over. You know, probably if you'd have put a gun to my head, as no, Tony Storm was always going to win. But yeah, the Hater match in London would be the big match there, I think. Tony Storm against Hater, and Tony Storm's done such a great job. I think she deserves that big match at All In.
Yeah, I agree. I certainly. Well, what's Saraya then? What's going on?
She's a much better heel than she's a baby face as well, Tony Storm.
What's happening with Saraya then?
Not sure. I mean, I can only assume that she's struggling with something, whether it's an illness or a knock. I don't know. I haven't heard anything really, but obviously she took some time away recently. She's back now, but she seems like she's doing a similar role to what she was doing in the WWE with the was it Asuka and Kairi? Yeah. She was their manager for a while, wasn't she? I remember that, and that seems to be her role now. So yeah, and we want her back in and seeing her some matches, particularly at All In. But yeah, I don't think she'll be anywhere near the title.
No. Definitely not. Andy, let's talk Ospreay Omega, because that's the only match that's going to make you happy.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't ask me about the women's match.
Oh, I know you wasn't a fan. I mean, we were just saying already, match of the year, match of the fucking decade, match of the year. I liked it. Even the table shots. Jesus.
They didn't hold back on them, mate. They must have, when they put this match together, the chat must have just been, don't hold back. Let's do it all. And honestly, pray to God they have a rematch somewhere. London. Yeah, if it's there, mate. I'd pay just for that match alone. Honestly, if you just watch one match so far this year, for me, that's the match of the year so far over all promotions that we've watched. And we watch a lot of wrestling here. I think that is I'm even going to go as far as saying that is one of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen in my entire 35 years of watching professional wrestling. Incredible. The near finishes, some of the moves on the ring apron alone, just like I was like, oh my God, how are they even doing this? And they told such a great story as well. There were so many near finishes. No one come out of that match looking weak, or it was just perfectly put together, and it left you saying, please, somehow, I don't care how, why, where, when, just please do it again. The only thing I didn't like, one thing, and it was nothing to do with the wrestling match. Don Duda, Callis, whatever his name is, gets ejected. Why is he allowed back down to ringside and the referee can't send him back? That kind of, don't get me wrong, I know it's wrestling and it's not real people, but for me, that was, why can you give him you're out of here? And then he's allowed to walk back down to ring. Why can't the ref just go, on you go, mate? I know it's part of the finish and yada, yada, yada. But
Bully Ray said something on Busted Open about it.
Oh, I haven't listened to it yet.
Break it down, why.
Well, my take on it, because I wrote it down, because I criticised WWE at WrestleMania for doing it with Solo Sikoa, because he was ejected, then he came back and he interfered. I just put that perhaps because the match had broken down so much with the use of the steps and the use of the flag, and the referee hadn't called a disqualification for that, he was never going to call a disqualification for Don Callis coming back out, because there was worse offences committing than Don Callis getting involved, I suppose. So that's the way I tried to justify it. But I did write it down as a criticism until I really did try and think about it deeply. So I don't know if Bully Ray says something similar.
He does say why it was allowed, why they didn't eject him again. I'm sure he said something. But one thing, the Tiger Driver 91,
man,
near the end, onto Kenny Omega's head.
That looked brutal.
It looked absolutely brutal.
I mean, there's one point. What other people on social media are kicking off about is because Ospreay drank Omega's blood. Oh, and do you know who it is? You know, I'm not even going to go there. But if you ever see my Twitter spats,
I missed that today. Was that today?
I didn't have one today, but I came close to responding to it.
Okay.
But there was a bit on there basically going, well, this wouldn't happen in WWE. I was like, you didn't watch the Attitude Era then, no. But anyway, there was a bit where he drank his blood. That caused a bit of social.
They were drinking blood like smoothies in the Attitude Era.
Oh,
no. They started a "you sick fuck" chant, and then Ospreay just went, "Yep." Then I thought that was great. I thought that was great.
And also the "You're a wanker" chant as well, Andy.
It's brilliant. And the fact they mentioned that in commentary made my day. Yeah. Just the thought of all these Americans watching that going, what did he just say? I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen. These two, I don't know how you get Will Ospreay in AEW. If you want to make your promotion a million times better, don't strap anything to CM Punk. I like CM Punk, don't get me wrong. But if you want to make your promotion go like that, you strap an absolute rocket to Will Ospreay and you say, how much money do you want to come over here and do this? Make him an offer that he literally can't say no to. Will, if you're watching this, and I know you might be, got to do it. That guy
was my point. He
could change that promotion. He could be the modern day Stone Cold Steve Austin and change a promotion with that. I'm not expecting that kind of match you physically can't do that kind of match every pay-per-view, every Dynamite, blah, blah, blah. But even the match he had on Rampage in a little tag team match, we saw snippets. Even if he can give us 60% of Will Ospreay on a Dynamite, a Collision, and then at a pay-per-view, if this man has to be somehow in some sort of main event at Wembley Stadium. You cannot have a Wembley show without Will Ospreay. Honestly, I really liked him, but he's one of the greatest wrestlers around at the minute. AEW need to strap a rocket to him and let him
100%. That was similar to what I was saying about Goldberg, and CM Punk falls into that as well. I'm so past all of that shit now because you got guys like Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. and even the homegrown guys, the Orange Cassidys, the Daniel Garcias, the Wheeler Utahs. So many good wrestlers. Let's invest in them, and
that's what we said a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, Adam? Do you remember the Attitude Era when WCW? We said it, didn't we, 2 weeks ago? And WWE went, all right, we can't afford to get all these guys back, and we can't afford to keep them. Let's develop Stone Cold, Mankind. This, the Rockers just coming. They just went, all right, let's strap rockets to all of these and see where we go. And like Dave said, AEW, if they want to just go as far as they can, especially. You can't miss an opportunity like Wembley Stadium, and not pull you. If they've got any sense, get it in that Omega and Ospreay do an Iron Man match.
The only thing that may prevent it is Ospreay's competing the night before.
Oh, yeah.
I think
in the UK.
Yeah, but it's for I think it's Progress. I think, or one of there's a show the night before.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure he's advertised for that. I could be wrong on that, but
I'm expecting him to be on it. But we'll see. But he showed, he can do multiple matches in a week. And if he takes it a little bit lighter on the first show, he's still got plenty in the tank for the second show. I can't speak more highly of Will Ospreay at the minute. I'm so glad that he gets to do it, because a lot of people have seen his matches. We've seen his matches on the Indies. He's had matches in Japan, but I think that's probably the biggest stage he's had that match on in terms of exposure. And they just absolutely knocked it out of the park. It was so good. And one last thing on it, I think the commentary was so good throughout the event. I think Kevin Kelly,
phenomenal. They're going to struggle. Kevin Kelly's going to be away for a month
for the G1.
The G1. So we'll probably get Shivani on the commentary when they have a collision, I suppose.
Shivani's contract's up in a month. Apparently he's not renewing.
They've got a great commentary team, but Kevin Kelly, I've been so impressed with him since listening to him more of late. He's on Collision. I thought he was so good. I think it was actually Excalibur that said a line during this match about there was a near fall. And he said, was that a kick out or a convulsion? And I thought that was good. I know what happened in the Bryan Danielson match after that. It was frustrating, but this was before that.
Oh, yeah. No,
I
thought that line was so good.
I liked it when they got the Tiger Drive. I think he was like, oh, Jesus, no. And then you had the Excalibur go, Tiger Driver. And he fucking goes when it's a Japanese movie, he gets like a fucking erection, doesn't he, Excalibur, and just goes off on one. But let's move on to the best match in the world, Sting. Darby Allin.
There was a good 6:30. That's what I will say about it. But
Yeah. Sting, Darby Allin, and Naito versus Suzuki, Jericho, and Guevara. I think the less said about this one. I mean, Jesus Christ, this was.
If there ever was a match to tell you that two guys are at the end of their career, this was
it. Yeah.
And I don't mean, I'm not saying that disrespectfully. They've had amazing careers, and hopefully Sting does go out at Wembley Stadium and we get to see.
He said that he's not quitting at Wembley. The thing in the press conference was.
I thought Sting looked a lot better than Jericho, and I don't know if it's because Jericho. I think it's maybe because he's not as active anymore. Is it if you think when AEW first started, he was the champion. Now he's always in tag matches, or he's in 3-on-3 matches, or he's always in something where he's very rarely doing like sing. It might be that he's getting on a bit. But I just don't want to see a Goldberg kind of thing where they go on too long. And, you get a Goldberg when he come back and fought Bray Wyatt in Saudi Arabia and done one of the worst matches in the wrestling history. I don't want Jericho's legacy to be remembered like that. And unfortunately for me, slowly getting there, I'll always remember him. It's like the WCW days, the great run he had in the WWF, WWE. But now I think I don't think he's one of them people to go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, I can see that. I'm gonna stop. I think he's going to eke this out for at least a couple more years. It's maybe on a part-time schedule. But for me, that match, and it might just been that match. I could be completely wrong. He could come to Wembley Stadium and tear the house down. But for me, that match, like you guys said, had a couple of high spots. I mean, Adam did text me and warn me before I'd watched it because I was watching it this afternoon. Early this evening, he was like, wait till you get to the six-man. If you thought the MJF and CM Punk match was bad, you wait till you get to this match. And yeah, I thought the MJF match was worse, to be honest. I thought it was fucking awful. One of the worst matches on the card. But for me, I don't know. I don't know how AEW play it now with Jericho because I don't think he can go. I don't think he can have many good matches anymore.
Some of his own, like his signature moves, he's not executing them very well, is he? His bread and butter type of moves. I'm a huge Jericho fan. I'd call myself a Jerichoholic. Absolutely loved his career. One of my greatest kind of memories was meeting Jericho and having a chat about wrestling and rock music. So I don't want to kind of shit on him too much. But this wasn't good. This wasn't a good use of Jericho. It wasn't a good use of Sting. I would have much rather seen like a Darby Allin one-on-one match with somebody. I know you're not Darby's biggest fan, Andy, but for a young wrestler perhaps be put in this spot.
I'm a fan of him. I want him to have a long career.
That's my issue with Darby.
I think when me and Adam, I think one of our very first podcasts we done together, we were talking about him, and we were like, "Wow, I don't want him to end up being like, in a wheelchair by the time he's 50, because if he keeps doing some of the shit, it's modern day wrestling is very different to when we were growing up, when we were kids, and we didn't give a fuck. Let's be honest. Now I'm seeing these guys. I don't know, maybe because I'm older and I've got kids. I'm just thinking, geez, I know you're here for a good time, but you ain't gonna be here for a long time if you keep doing. I think he's a tremendous talent. He's better than Jungle Boy. Put it that way. You kind of the same age bracket, and they're in that kind of group. I'd rather have seen Darby Allin in that world title match because I think he would have had a better match than Jungle Boy. So I like him. I really like him. I just think some of the risks he takes as a wrestler, he's not going to be around in 10, 15 years' time doing.
I just think he's too quick. And we know that it's all split second, and it only takes one with him because he is just so quick, and he's not reckless, and he doesn't portray as a reckless guy, but you can catch someone off guard pretty quickly being that fast and doing those sorts of stuff that you do. That it worries me that one of these days we're going to watch it and something's going to happen, and it's for him.
Yeah, I'll totally get your points with that.
But
there's a few moments where I winced watching this pay-per-view, to be honest.
We'll get on to the last match. Do you think there was a bit of a communication issue on this one, though, Dave?
In the six-man or the main event?
Six-man.
Yeah, I mean, my notes at the end of this were messy sequences towards the end, struggling to pick up the crowd, but the fans were still on the feet.
Yeah.
And I put pretty dreadful botched finish, and I'm the AEW guy. Just didn't work for me. And then
I think all the wrestlers knew they botched the finish as well. You could tell by the reaction. I don't know what you boys thought.
Yeah. I think then Okada and Danielson had a much bigger job then. The match, the night was already so long to watch that match and then to try and get up for the main event. And the crowd were pretty good.
Yeah.
But it was an impossible task, really. I think the main event really did suffer, and that match before it didn't help at all.
No, it probably didn't. Bryan Danielson's, or not say new thing, Tony Khan has paid for the rights to the final countdown. I don't know how my local football team get on, because that's Canvey Island's walkout entrance. I videoed it to my son, and he was like, "This is violating."
All the Canvey Island fans angrily tweeting AEW.
What's going on? But it was great. I loved the music. I mean, it got probably one of the biggest pops of the night. That
massive pop.
Yeah.
The main event, yeah. I mean, I thought, yeah, the main event struggled, I think, to live. And there's also this big expectation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that video package before was brilliant.
Yeah.
Better than the match.
Probably was.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was a really good video.
They are getting better at their video packages as well. And I think that's a couple of the acquisitions they've made. Some of the guys that have gone from the WWE's backstage team and gone over to AEW, and you've started seeing the results of that now.
Yeah, definitely. I thought the main event was. I think it was long day.
I think they wanted to put a wrestler. I think they wanted it to be old school, didn't they? Do you remember when Bret Hart wrestled Chris Benoit?
Yeah,
I think it was on a tribute show. Can't remember which.
It was the first time that they wrestled at the arena where Owen passed away in Kansas.
I think it kind of had this. We want to be wrestlers in this entire match, and I got it. Don't get me wrong. Bret Hart's he's one of my heroes. So, but I just I'm with Davey. I think because the event had gone on so long, and the crowd were pretty much into it, but they had been there for absolute hours. And like you say, with the Omega and Ospreay took it out of everyone. Yeah. And you followed it with the 6-man, which really killed everyone, brought everyone back down. And then you've got to try and it's a bit like the interview that Triple H done when he had to follow Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at one event. He was like, well, how the fuck do I follow that? You know what I mean? It's one of them. I kind of got that vibe. You can see the main event, two good wrestlers, but they've kind of got they've got the up from the Will Ospreay, and then you've got the low of the 6-man, and you've got the main event thinking, oh shit, we've got to send these people home happy. And I think kind of done it, but I
think if that 6-man wasn't there, it would have benefited the main event and the whole card.
To what you say, Dave, maybe like the card could have been a little bit like you said, ads as well. It was missing one match that got cancelled.
My thing was they could have had half of these on Collision. You could have just because Collision's so young, you could have got away with it because the feuds ain't started yet.
That just seems Collision's going to be used for the Owen Hart tournament now. By the looks of it,
I'm looking forward to the match this week though. Collision, by the way. Roderick Strong, Samoa Joe, please.
That'll be a barnstormer.
Yes, please. That'll be great. Touch on the main event quickly. I thought it was the injury kind of killed it at that point. I wasn't a fan of the finish either. I have to admit, I wasn't keen on. The crowd were even surprised that he tapped out. Finish. I would have rather him hitting one of those knees that he does and pinned him if he was going over.
Or even not pin him. Like he goes and passes out unconscious, something like that.
Yeah.
So he makes him look strong, but it put, maybe I would have. That's how I personally would have booked it.
Or is it the case that because how many times? I mean, I know we're talking WWE, but we've seen that so many times in WWE recently. Is it a case of they've said it so much over there that we can't, But it is right. It does work better than a tap out. If you're trying to keep the guy strong, it works better than a tap out. But I felt the finish was just a bit weak. But I'm assuming again the injury. Could they not have just? I suppose they couldn't just called it off either, could they? Because it would have been.
No, it must have been close to X in that match, though. It must have been close. I think especially where the health regulations are now in wrestling, and all over the world, really.
And to be fair, he finished that match. He got his arm in a break, and he come out and done a 20-minute Q&A at the scrum, and he put over Orange. He put over Orange bollocks. He put over Again, that's the type of guy that Danielson is. Yeah. There was a couple of moves in there where he landed on his head, and I know you could see there was a move in particular. I can't remember the move it was, but he hit the move, and you could see that he had that head. That Okada had Danielson's head tucked so well that although the move looked bad, he had it. Obviously a safe because we know.
I was more shocked he'd done the yes chant. I thought he just left that in WWE, and when he started doing it, I was like, oh, hang on a minute.
I think that's the first time he has done it in AEW.
And he meant to do it as well. And it was just like, hang on a minute, I didn't think he was doing that in AEW.
Is this setting up Daniels? I don't know, he's probably not. He's not going to turn face, is he? What is he at the moment? Because the BCC are heels. he kind of gets cheered everywhere. I know to be fair, the BCC get cheered everywhere, but that's, you know, they've been a little bit different recently because obviously who they've been going against has given them the bit of the heat. But where is Danielson in this?
You could turn him, I suppose. You could even, you could have a feud with CM Punk and
One
FTR.
last point on the BCC: bring back the old music. What was
that?
What was that?
Oh,
I want Wild Thing back.
Yeah, but maybe because they are heels and Wild Thing gets the crowd going too much, they need to trying to get them booed.
Maybe.
What a load of bollocks!
You could have Punk and FTR have a feud with the BCC and turn Daniel. You could turn him heel.
Well, I think the way they finished this, I don't think it's the end. I think there's going to be another Okada Danielson match. I thought Okada was everything that he does. You can see why he's so highly rated. You know, those drop kicks he was hitting, perfection. But I was like you, I was really surprised that the match ended as it is. It was a bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah.
Not sure. Danielson had that smile on his face, which suggested, he'd got one over. Well, obviously he won the match, but he'd out wrestled Okada. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rematch down the line. But in terms of immediate future, he's going to be out for a few weeks with that forearm injury, isn't he?
6 to 8 weeks. It puts him puts him week before All In.
Yes,
but you know what these wrestlers are like. He might not miss any. They might not miss any TV time. I mean, he might just be on, but not wrestle. He can.
Yeah, he's been a bit on commentary, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's always doing creative now. So
yeah,
he's helping Tony Khan do his creative.
He wears a lot of hats there, doesn't he? At the minute,
they wear. Jesus Christ, they have to wear a lot of hats there. He can't keep that on Tony Khan. But that was it. That was Collision. That was Forbidden Door. Sorry.
Forbidden Door.
One last bit of praise. I absolutely loved the New Japan ring announcer. Man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I'd forgot because he did it last year as well, and that's what he does. That's his style of announcing.
Sting, that was the best bit.
Yeah. I thought that was great. I was looking forward to that as much as the matches, to be honest. The introductions. Yeah. I'd love on a UK show, a UK ring announcer too.
Oh my God! Could you imagine we get Sunset Skip?
That style.
Sunset Skip. Yeah, let's have a word with CJ. Come on, let's get him on.
With CJ, get him on. But yeah, man, that was it. That was it.
That was Forbidden Door. But Dave, Ads, it's been good chopping it up. Not the worst pay-per-view, not the best pay-per-view. I'd be interested to see now where they rebuild storylines and start again on Dynamite and Collision this week. And obviously,
it's a long one though, isn't it? Till the next one.
Yeah, it's a long one now till Wembley
all
now.
In.
But all in. We've got we record this on a Monday, so we've got Raw. SmackDown is over here in London. We've got Money in the Bank coming up this week. Money in the Bank is this Saturday. That's going to be absolutely fucking incredible. But we'll be back throughout the week. We've got our Buckle Up shows this week. We've got everything going on this week.
Ask us anything.
Ask us anything. We are recording on Thursday, so anyone out there wants to ask us anything wrestling related, it could be AEW, WWE, it could be anything you want, anything about wrestling. Tweet us at HTTBuckle, comment on our Facebook, on our YouTube. We will promise you we will ask the question on the show. We're going to ask them, or we'll run the show as long as the questions are there. But we're going to record that on Thursday. We've got our Buckle Up interviews happening this week.
NWA interview.
NWA, Adam and Fiona are back with the NWA stuff.
We've got Fit Impact in at some point.
We've got Impact, we've got Dynamite, we've got Collision. We've got Smack Money in the Bank.
We've got a top 10 this week. Me and Dave done it. You missed it. It was a cracker. Yeah, top 10, man. Dave, remind me, because I forgot.
Top 10 finishes.
Thank you. I've got so many more ideas for top 10s, and that's going to be a regular thing.
Yeah, we're loving the top 10s. But make sure you go and check us out on all social medias. We all say YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Go and find us everywhere. Just search the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with my two amazing friends and co-hosts, and Adam's going to cut me off. What have I forgot again?
Your man's coming back. Your boy's coming back.
Parker Hamlet is coming back to do some shows with us. So for those that don't know, I started the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast just over a year ago now. Me and Parker, he's out in America, I'm here in the UK, and we just done shows together, and it was just two dudes talking wrestling, but the time zones and Parker's work pattern and my work pattern, it was hard. But Parker reached out to me yesterday, said he would love to come on some shows. I was like, Parker, this is your home. You are always welcome to come and chop it up with us. But myself, Dave, and Adam are always going to be here, but Parker's going to pop in every now and again. He's an AEW. Dave, you and him are going to get on famously. He is an AEW guru as well. Parker is a good dude. So yeah, Parker Hamlet's going to be back with us soon. I need to tie up with him when and where. But yeah, go and check us out on all socials. But this has been another great episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Till next time, everybody, buckle down, Stay safe.